Howdy, everyone. Are you a diehard movie fan who can't get enough of your favorite films? Then we have just the thing for you. Go to moviesbyminutes.com, the ultimate destination for movie enthusiasts like you. Moviesbyminutes.com is the hub for all things movies, but with a unique twist. Instead of watching a film in one sitting, you can dive deep into your favorite movies 1 minute at a time. It's like getting an exclusive behind the scenes pass to your most beloved movies, and we break down iconic movies into bite sized episodes where our hosts dissect and discuss each minute of cinematic magic. Whether you're a fan of action packed blockbusters, heartwarming rom coms, spine chilling thrillers, or even classic masterpieces, MoviesByMinutes.com has a podcast series for your every genre and taste. Get ready to enhance your movie watching experience like never before. MoviesByMinutes.com. It's like having a front row seat to the magic of the silver screen, 1 minute at a time. Don't miss out on this cinematic adventure, folks. Visit MoviesByMinutes.com today and unlock a whole new dimension of movie appreciation. Howdy, everyone. Are you ready for a summer full of strikes, spares, and unforgettable fun? Then we've got the perfect program for you. It's Kids Bowl Free, the ultimate way to keep your kids entertained and active all summer long. That's right, folks. Kids Bowl Free is the hottest program in town, and it's absolutely free. Say goodbye to summer boredom and hello to endless excitement at your local bowling center. Bowling's a fantastic activity for kids of all ages. It promotes physical fitness, coordination, and teamwork while providing loads of laughter and friendly competition. And here's the best part. With Kids Bowl Free, your little ones can bowl 2 free games every day all summer. Can you believe it? 2 games every day, absolutely free. That's an unbeatable deal, and it's a chance for your kids to sharpen their bowling skills, spend quality time with friends and family, and make some amazing memories. Plus, did I mention, it's all for free. So parents, why wait? Visit kidsbowlfree.com today and sign up for this summer's most talked about program. It's quick, easy, and did we mention it's free? So gather up your crew, lace up those bowling shoes, and get ready to knock down some pins. Your kids will thank you. Kids Bowl Free program availability and terms may vary by location. Visit kidsbowlfree.com for more details.
I now declare the quick draw competition open.
Howdy, everyone. Pull up a chair, kick up your boots, take a sip on a nice cold brew. It's the Quick in the Pod, the season 2 episodes of the Support Your Local Podcast Show, where we take a look at the Western classic of 1995, Sam Raimi's The Quick and the Dead, one chapter at a time. I am your host, as always, Robert Smith, coming to you from beautiful Tombstone. Yes, that one. Today, we are going to take a look at Chapter 26, You Stole My Life. But before we do, there's a wind and a rustle and a bustle outside. I see some dust blowing in. There's a shadowy figure walking down the boardwalk. I hear the clang, clang, clang of some spurs. Batwing doors fly open, and it is our buddy Shizzy. Shizzy, how are you doing, bud?
Hey, what's happening? Doing well, thanks. How are you?
I'm doing good, doing good. Glad to have you back, Shizzy, one of our recurring guests. If you haven't gone back in the archives and listened to what Shizzy's all about, I highly recommend those episodes. But Shiz is going to join us today when we talk about Chapter 26, You Stole My Life. But before we do, Shiz, I know you know by now that we like to take a little bit of a deep dive, a quick peek at one of our movers and shakers, our playmakers of the cast and crew. Today is going to be a fun one. Today we're going to talk about one Mr. Gary Sinise, the father of our lady protagonist in the movie, and a little segment that I like to call "Put My Damn Name on the Board."
Put my damn name up.
All right. For Put My Damn Name on the Board, today we have one Mr. Gary Sinise. Again, this is one that I'm a little excited to get into because we have some pretty memorable roles in regards to this gentleman here. So it starts out in 1978, an uncredited role for A Wedding. And when I was going through the filmography on Wikipedia, here's a peek behind the curtains, guys. I don't memorize everything that everybody's done. I saw like a 10-year jump until he did another movie, and he actually directed it, or he was the director for that movie. But like a 10, 14-year jump before another movie, I was like, whoa, what the hell's going on in this? It wasn't until I got down to the television section to realize that he actually had his start primarily in TV. So 1978, he was an extra in a wedding. Goes over to TV. 1980, he hits some of the classic favorites. So Knots Landing, Family Secrets, True West in 1984. 1986, 87, we have Crime Story for a couple episodes. 1988, said he directs Miles from Home. 89, we get into a TV movie, The Final Days, and then one that jumped out to me, he is in an episode of Hunter. Shizzy, do you remember Hunter?
I cannot say that I do.
Your parents are not nearly as old as mine were. So Hunter came on around the time of Matlock. It was around that same not time frame years wise, but I think same time frame TV time wise. Hunter was a cop show. He was a detective that went on, and it was very, very popular in my house. Mom had a crush on Hunter. That's the only reason it rings on my bell, but we watched a lot of that going on. So I was excited to see that one. If you get a chance, go on YouTube. There are lots of TV movies based on Hunter. It is definitely worth a check.
Okay. Yeah, this I guess I'm reading a little bit about it. From 84 to 91. Yeah, you'd think I would, but I mean, I remember like my dad would like, my mom and dad would like we'd watch. I remember watching Night Court,
yep,
and Cheers and stuff like that. But I don't remember Hunter if it was ever on. I can't recall.
Yeah, this was the kind of prime of NBC where you had Hunter, you had Matlock, you had Murder, She Wrote. Those guys. I may be around on being NBC. I'm pretty sure it was NBC. But it was more in that type of vein to where it was a cop show that was by far not a gritty cop show by any stretch of the imagination, but still a good watch.
Yeah, I think we're probably playing Nintendo and stuff too. It's, the original. And yeah, during those times, because it says here that at least Gary Sinise was in an episode from 1989, and Tales from the Crypt was on HBO. I remember watching those when I was young, staying up late, sometimes depending on if I had school or not, or if I didn't fall asleep. And
if you were really lucky, you could sneak a glimpse of some boobs.
Yes. Indeed.
Oh, don't make me the creepy guy. Come on, at least give me a laugh.
Yes. That was it. Yeah.
Okay, so maybe we watched HBO shows for different reasons, okay?
Yeah. I mean, it came a little later. It's in the old Skinamax days. But yeah.
Yep. All right. So 1991, we got The Grapes of Wrath. Then we hop back into our movie Gary Sinise, where we know and love him. Played George Milton in Of Mice and Men. Played in A Midnight Clear. Played in The Witness in 1992. 1993, we have Jack the Bear. 94, this is where we get Gary Sinise. This is where we're going to know him from, guys. So on TV, he was a part of the original The Stand miniseries. Based on the Kevin Sting novel, you know that one.
Yes.
The Stephen King novel. I have not watched the pandemic version of The Stand. I've heard things.
I heard it was pretty awful. As a matter of fact, I think I read about that recently. I haven't seen it either. Now, in '94 here was Gary Sinise in The Stand before Forrest Gump came out, or which one came out first?
I believe The Stand came out first. I don't have specific release dates,
so
but I think that is the case. But yeah, so 94. That's good.
Yeah, I mean, he was really put on the map though in Forrest Gump.
Yeah, that's where you're going to know him from. He is Lieutenant Dan. For the three people that are listening to this that may not know that, he was Lieutenant Dan in Forrest Gump, the guy that unfortunately had his legs taken away from him, um, and really even some of these other ones that I know him from. That's my Gary Sinise. That's where I know him from. Anytime I see him in something different, I have to go Lieutenant Dan because that's who he is. That's his Commissioner Gordon, you know?
Right. Yeah, it's been a long time since I've seen The Stand. I mean, they came out the same year. It just depends on which one was shot first or what order or whatever. But yeah, he was like the main guy in The Stand, right? I mean, well, one of them. There's a lot of.
He was Stu Redman. He was our primary protagonist in there. But you also, I mean, this for those that haven't seen the original Stand, I do recommend if you're able to get a hold of it, go watch it. It is worth. Yes, there is bad CG, but guys, this was '94. This was a TV miniseries, so bear with it.
Yeah, that's
good.
Good.
It's good. You're talking Rob Lowe, Molly Ringwald, Gary Sinise, just this whole list of.
Ferrer.
I'm sorry,
Miguel Ferrer.
Miguel Ferrer, exactly. Like it is definitely worth the check out. 95, he just continues rolling on. So he's in TV movie of Truman. He's in an episode of Frasier, but also back on the big screen, we have two big ones. I'm not sure which one is the biggest, but we'll see. We have Apollo 13, the Tom Hanks a classic about that event in our history. But also 95, he is the marshal in our beloved The Quick and the Dead that we were talking about today. So he plays the father of Ellen, the lady, whatever you want to call her, the Sharon Stone character in our movie. 96, we get into Ransom, another kind of underrated classic. I really dig that movie. Albino Alligator, I am not familiar with. I don't know, Shizzy, if that was on your radar.
But I'm I'm kind of doing a little research as we go because I didn't know who we were going to talk about till right before we went on pod. But it is the directorial debut of Kevin Spacey.
Oh,
yeah.
Are we allowed to say his name? Has he been canceled?
Not in '96.
Okay, fair. All right. So 96 Spacey, we're still good. All right, fair enough.
Yeah. Matt Dillon, Faye Dunaway, Gary Sinise. I've never seen this one.
So I'm assuming by that cast that this is not like a sci-fi channel movie, Albino Alligator.
No, that would be dope though. The cast in like a B-rated, a giant alligator movie.
Like Sharknado 20 years before Sharknado?
Yeah. Or even, Alligator, the old classic from the early 80s or late 70s.
Are you talking about Reynolds, sir?
No, not the Burt Reynolds one.
Okay.
Just straight Alligator.
Not Gator. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. Oh, no, not Gator. But
97, he plays the titular George Wallace in George Wallace. 98, we have Snake Eyes, the Nick Cage movie before he went completely Nick Cage on us. 99, we have It's the Rage and also The Green Mile. So following in the footsteps of Stephen King novels. I believe The Green Mile is also Frank Darabont. So kind of getting in with that Stephen King crew.
Yeah, it was The Stand. It was Mick Garris. He was a great, pretty good director. He did Friday the 13th Part 6. He created Masters of Horror, one of our favorite shows back in the day.
2000 Reindeer Games, Mission to Mars, and Bruno. We have another page. We have 2002, we have Path to War, where he plays George Wallace as well. Really likes him some George Wallace. I see that name popping up about 6 or 7 times in his IMDb. 2002, Imposter, something that you were speaking to before we hopped on here.
I was thinking about that movie, and I want to revisit it. I haven't seen it probably since 2002, honestly.
There you have it, folks. A glowing review from Shizzy. A movie so great, I haven't seen it in 21 years.
This is one of them you don't really think about, but I remember liking it, but I don't remember what it's about. So.
2003, Human Stain, Mission Space. 2004, The Forgotten Big Bounce. And then that's when he kind of gets back into the TV scene. That's when he starts getting into the CSIs. So anybody that follows those series, knows that he's been in CSI Miami, CSI New York, the original CSI, and then back into Criminal Minds. So kind of going that route with his career. In the movie side, not a whole lot. After that, he's doing a little bit of voice work more than anything. He did play the Smithsonian narrator in Captain America, the Winter Soldier, which I found interesting. I did not catch that, nor do I think I would. But this is also when he really starts focusing on the military side of things. And those that don't know, Gary Sinise is very, 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 very deeply involved in the veterans movements, making sure that the proper care and programs are put into place for our veterans, which, for those that are listening to us as it drops, we're a little bit past, but we are actually recording the day after the 4th of July. So very poignant that we have somebody that is taking his familiarity in his character as Lieutenant Dan and various other places and other roles, and using that to bring some enlightenment and shine a light on some of the dilemmas that our veterans are facing. So shout out to him for all that humanitarian aid. Anybody that knows me knows that, regardless of politics, regardless of your thoughts on government, you don't fuck around with our veterans. So those people served for us and protect our freedom. So shout out to Mr. Sinise for everything that he does on that. Please, please, please check out your local veterans programs. I'm getting deeply involved in BVL, which is Bowling for Veterans Lives on the bowling front. But there's just tons of programs out there that you can help a local veteran out. So I'll get off my soapbox. Sorry about that, Shiz.
No problem. Support the vets. I'm all about it.
And then his stuff just kind of peters off around 2019 and 2020. I assume, COVID shutting everything down, and maybe Lieutenant Dan's just tired. Maybe he's really just focusing on that humanitarian stuff. But definitely wanted to take a moment and just kind of talk about one Mr. Lieutenant Dan, one Mr. Gary Sinise, a very brief role in this movie. When I remember first watching it, when I knew who he was and knew Lieutenant Dan, seeing him as pretty much just a cameo spot, and I was confused because, how could this major movie superstar like Lieutenant Dan, because keep around, that was around that time, how could he have this little bit role? And it wasn't, I realized because he hadn't really been that really big superstar at this point. He's literally fresh off of Forrest Gump when he does this cameo role. So I assume he kind of got that role prior to it.
It depends. Well, principal photography began from what I'm reading on Quick and the Dead was in 1993, or the tail end of 93, November. So
Forrest Gump had not released at that point.
It wasn't released yet, but I wonder if it was even made yet.
So I don't know, there's a lot of CGI behind the scenes stuff on Forrest Gump. I would assume that it had probably been shot at that point.
So, yeah. Well, it took place between August and December '93, so
yeah,
maybe Gary Sinise was shooting at the same time, and between shoots, that's why his part was so. I hesitate to say minor because it's actually plays a major role in the development of Sharon Stone's character and all the events that happen.
Yes, as we will get into with our chapter today, as a matter of fact.
Yes, indeed.
Indeed.
I wonder if we should explain to anybody what that's from. We've been doing it every episode.
If you do not know, I will only say Funaki, and then I will let you figure out the rest on your own. I'm not going to spoon feed you.
Kai and Tai.
But if see now you're giving them more clues.
Oh, that's all. I'm not giving any more.
But if
and,
indeed Funaki, Kai and Tai, and holy shit, Michinoku's face doesn't ring a bell, do some research, folks. Do some research.
And Val Venus and a ninja sword. Look up that one too. That was the most ridiculous WWF moment.
If you're doing your research and you run across something that sounds vaguely like choppy your PP, you're on the right path. You're on the right path.
Indeed.
All right. But before we besmirch the name of Mr. Sneeze, let's get out of this segment. This has been put my damn name on the board.
Add my name to the list.
Attaboy!
All right, we are back. Shiz, are you ready to talk about Chapter 26, You Stole My Life?
Indeed. I hope Gary Sinise never listens to this episode.
I as well. I would hope that Mr. Sinise has far better things to do than to listen to an episode of The Quick and the Pod. Not to degrade my own show, but there are bigger, better things in this world than this.
Yeah, few and far between, though.
I mean, there's not many. All right. So and I do want to clarify that You Stole My Life is, in fact, the name of the chapter. I was not accusing Shizzy of anything in that last statement.
Yeah, I didn't steal anything.
We start our chapter with the wreckage of the explosions, and there's fires burning, there's a wagon wheel kind of mangled, and there's just boards and debris flying all over the place. And we get some smoke covering the screen. And I would not have been surprised if at this point we heard a gong and some funeral music as the Undertaker walks out, because a shadowy figure starts to walk out of the smoke. And we cut to Maddie Silk, who's taking notice, and then several of the townsfolk around her, and especially Pat Hingle. They're in the background checking on each other. So we at least know that, in the chaos and the explosions that have ensued, some of our primary characters are still relatively unscathed. We didn't blow up some of the quote unquote innocent people that were there. A pair of boots walk through the fire, and we get to see a very, very confused Herod staring down the street at the figure. And the figure continues to approach, and as it gets a little bit closer, we do see that, in fact, it is the lady. And she is in full spirit of vengeance mode. And first off, great shot of Sharon Stone, the wild, unkempt hair, I dare say a mane of hair flapping around in the wind, but you can really see the fury on her face as she's making her surprise quote unquote surprise comeback. Herod hollers that she's dead, and we see young Katie and Commissioner Gordon, and the young girl is smiling in relief that her hero has survived after all. So it's good to see that despite the kind of tiff that they had back and forth, maybe her defending her honor against Eugene has kind of got her back on the side of the lady. We cut to the blind kid, and the doctor's right behind him, and the blind kid is holding a bottle of red ink, and he pours it out onto the ground. Now, obviously, Shiz, this is here to connect the dots for the audience. She asked the kid about the ink before her gunfight. Um, when she was, and I use fat finger quotes, shot by Court. So if you're looking for it, you could see that there was no bullet hole. Spoiler for the episode I had a couple weeks ago with Brian. That was the thing that was missing when you see her roll over and the doctor's checking on her. It wasn't just a mistake by Sam Raimi. Like there was no bullet hole. There was just this red ink on her vest. I the argument I have on this, like the people that didn't catch that, this is a Sam Raimi film. He's already shown the back of a man's skull blown off. Matter of fact, I think past episode with you.
Yeah, the one with Keith David.
Yes.
I can't remember his character's name right off the top of my head.
I'll wait.
Cantrell. Yeah.
Cantrell, thank you.
That's right. Yeah, I forgot. I had to reach deep for that one.
So is there somebody in the audience that thought for a moment that Sam Raimi would have given up an opportunity to show the blood and gore from her being shot?
Yeah, I mean, it's such almost a surprise move that if you're just into it and not, into the story, I don't know, knowing what we know about the movie and about Sam Raimi, it's like, we would notice that. But that's an interesting take, though. I wonder, who didn't catch it.
Right. And I guess that's more my favorite.
I wonder if I wouldn't have caught it, if just thinking about it like that. But if I'd never seen it before.
Right. And see, I first saw it at such an older age that I guess it was never a suspense moment for me. Like I never for a moment thought that she died. So like was there an audience that was truly kind of crestfallen that here our main like was it a swerve, bro, to go full Russo? Like were there people that were following the Sharon Stone character thing that she'd be the final good guy, and like when she got caught off, say, oh, I guess we're Team Court now?
Yeah, I mean that would be an excellent swerve. I mean, we've seen movies like, well, let's just say Psycho, for example, Alfred Hitchcock.
Okay.
We think that Janet Leigh is the main character. Well, she gets killed in like the first half of the movie. Spoiler for like a 1960 some movie.
Shit, but yeah, if you're talking about the shot-by-shot remake, you're talking 30 years.
Yeah, even the Vince Vaughn shot-for-shot remake, unnecessary.
Anne Heche? Anne Heche is the Janet Leigh character?
Yes, I believe so. But yeah, so the main, heroine is killed like not even in like halfway through. I don't think. Maybe it is the halfway point. I don't remember, but it's
early.
It's pretty early. Maybe it's in the first act. Like I think it might be like the end of the first act or something. But it's real early, and then, so that's maybe it was a late act swerve.
Right.
It's a good one though.
Yeah. And I guess my other argument is so that's the only reason that we're being shown this, because otherwise, who's the blind kid revealing this to? Did Herod see her walking out of the smoke and go, wait a minute, there was red on her vest, and he looks over at the blind kid, and the blind kid's like, as he's pouring it out. It has to be just
Like,
so
I knew that
an
kid.
audience.
I knew he was faking being blind. Little shit. No, he's not. He's actually blind.
Call back to previous episodes. That's came up. I'm just saying.
No, I think that's just a little flourish of like a reveal, just as a filmmaking. What's the word I'm looking for? Just a technique, a reveal,
right.
for the audience.
Right. And that's, I mean, it's commonplace in horror movies of like the scary movies or the haunting movies that have the jump scares. Like, who is this for? Like, the people in the movie can't see what's happening, so this is literally just for the audience. And to me, that always kind of breaks the fourth wall a little bit for me. But not to detract from this shot. So this is very much the Clint Eastwood coming back from the dead in A Fistful of Dollars. This is his revenge walk in. I mean, in fact, there was explosions and smoke and everything else during that shot. So really, really, really pounding home the fact that Raimi is trying to capture that spaghetti Western feel to this movie. She's really embodying the whole Clint Eastwood baddie that she's been trying to various degrees of success throughout the entire movie.
Yeah, this movie is very much like especially the Sergio Leone, the Dollars trilogy, The Man with No Name. Even she is pretty much unnamed through most of the movie. Like, you don't find out what her real name is till later. And
it's actually the shootout between her and Court that he calls her Ellen. And if you've not seen the deleted sex scene, that's the first time we hear her name. It's very much the Beatrix Kiddo from Kill Bill, Which, fun fact, I at some point may continue the Western thing and going into the Man with No Name trilogy. I just want to point out that he has a name in at least 2 of those movies. Just say.
Yeah, I've been putting off watching them again because I remember always watching them when I was a kid. They were always on TBS forever. Or whatever.
Yeah, they were always on TBS. As of this recording, I'm a huge fan of Pluto TV. Pluto actually has all 3 of them on pretty much on a constant loop. So definitely check them out. See what we're talking about. If you've never seen a Sergio Leone movies, like they have Fistful of Dynamite on right now as well. So the spaghetti westerns are very thick on the Western channel of Pluto TV. Definitely check those out and get a feel for what we're talking about. You'll see the similarities and just kind of the not. I don't want to say the comedic parts of it, but just the hyper reality of certain things. And
the spaghetti westerns were really more about the atmosphere and just a bit of surreal quality to it,
Absolutely, yeah.
Very
stylistic. You have 8 or 9 minute scenes where there's not a word spoken, but there's been 20 pages of story driven just on those 9 minutes of facial expressions and actions.
Yes, but we could probably do a whole episode on spaghetti westerns.
Hopefully I'll do entire seasons of that shiz, but we'll get back to what we're talking about. I'm sorry. All right. We see as she walks closer, a guard on the roof pointing his rifle at her. And why doesn't he shoot? I think I would be safe to do so and not have to wait for the green light from Herod. Like, I don't think he'd get in trouble if he shot her right now.
Yeah, that guy with the rifle. always pulling it up. Yeah, I mean, but didn't maybe he saw the guy that broke Court's hand. You saw what happened to him.
Ratsy.
Yeah, and then he's like,
R.I.P.
I don't know if I should do that. I don't know. I don't know.
Well, I mean, could be. Maybe he gave orders a while ago not to shoot those two people, and he's not got the stand. You're right, Shiz. Maybe he is the good soldier. Maybe he's not got the stand down, and he's okay. You've convinced me. But she stops and adjusts her gun in her belt, and one of the guards on the ground is prepared to shoot her. So he's either a much better soldier or he's a much worse soldier, depending on which side of that argument you just landed on. And Court comes up. He takes a pistol from the guy's belt and he grabs the rifle. He butts the guy in the face with it, and then he goes full blown Neo in the Matrix. I love this. He shoots one guard from the roof. Then he no-look rifle blasts another one approaching behind him. The guy on the roof does a great fall onto the debris below, and it's a 1,000% classic Western trope alert. Whoop, 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 of the stuntman move from Westerns, which obviously they're doing a nod to of the big Pratt fall from an elevated surface onto a crash pad. But it's a nice touch that he has that in there.
The classic balcony tumble.
Exactly. If and when I go, I want to go like that. I don't care what I die of, as long as I die over a balcony like that.
It's like, oh, here's the big one. Oh, and then just fall over a balcony.
We'll be upstairs.
Oh. It's like, yeah.
Can't do this on the ground.
Hurry up and get him upstairs. He wants it this way. Yeah, I'm gonna put that in my will. I'm gonna take that from you as well.
All right. Maybe we can go together.
Yeah, but, before I get upstairs, just toss me off the balcony anyway. Make it look cool, you know.
We're only doing this once. This better be rolling. Oh.
Yeah.
Two more guards are just good.
Sorry, I'm remembering. I just watched it not that long ago. That's this scene to revisit it. Didn't the guy pulls up his rifle, and then Court sticks a gun in his ribs, and takes his gun from him?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So I think, I guess it was maybe he didn't have time to shoot or couldn't get it till he got that gun stuck in his ribs. I don't know. It just occurred to me.
That could be. Valid point. So two more guards are dispatched when Court crosses his arms and shoots one from each side of the street. And don't get me wrong, I love flair. You know, if you're going to do something, do it with style. But there are more effective ways of shooting people than having to do all these acrobatics. He's just showing off at this point. I mean, we got some ace handling going on here, right?
Yeah, it is a little over the top, but it looks so cool. It's just so cool when he shoots the guy. Then the no look behind the back rifle, over the shoulder rifle, and then the two cross arm shooting those guys. It's just awesome. It's so over the top. It is just awesome. It's like, yeah.
Yep. And I would be remiss to say, perhaps too much vanity for a preacher.
Yeah, he wasn't always a preacher, though.
He did just get laid, to be fair. And this gets a concerned look from Herod, who I'm pretty sure is still concussed from all the blast happening, 7 feet behind his head. And Court lets him know that from now on, all the fights are fair. Herod turns back to the lady and yells, "Who are you?" And I wonder if he meant to yell that, or if it's just from all the ringing in his ears, he doesn't have any control over the volume of his voice. But she pulls something from around her neck and she tosses it at Herod's feet. And he looks down, and we, the audience, we get to see that it is the Marshall's badge from earlier that she got from Home Alone guy. And I haven't nitpicked something in a while. It's been a couple of minutes, so bear with me, but here we go. The badge is half in the ground, is facing the camera, so we, the audience, can read the Marshall across it. The shot we have is at ground level looking up. So we, as the audience, we have the badge in the bottom of the screen. If you're not watching along with us, just kind of visualize. Herod is standing over it, looking down at it. So you may see where I'm going with this. My nitpick is he can't read that badge. It's not facing up where he'd be able to see the Marshall on it. He's essentially looking down and only seeing the outside edge of the badge looking up at him. So anyways, it all comes together in his mind, despite the fact that he can't read the Marshall on it. And he looks at the lady, who then tells him that, our titular, he stole her life. We get a white flashback to the dream sequence that we've been seeing off and on. And Lieutenant Dan is still standing on the chair with a noose on his neck, telling Herod to let her go. And Herod does oblige, and he holds her right in front of the Marshal. He gives a gun to Ellen, who we now know this is the child version of the lady. This is 1000% confirmed now. And he says that he'd give her 3 shots to shoot the rope and save her daddy's life. Gary Sinise tries to talk her through it, but she continues to say that she can't do it. Which, fair, scary moment, I get it. After some calming words that he doesn't hold her responsible for whatever happens, which way to keep it positive, Dad. Like, you're supposed to hype her up that she can't possibly miss. She finally gives it a go, and she pulls back the hammer, she aims, and she promptly shoots Gary Sinise right in the forehead.
Devastating.
It's devastating. I chuckle every time. Now, I have lots of things to say about this one. So Shiz, jump in if you can. If not, this is going to be a long one. I apologize.
Oh, go for it.
All right.
It's your show.
First, it is, but I like to entertain my guests. So first, this is the first time she's shooting at a rope. We can tell she's never held a gun before. Like, let's just get that out of the way. By the time she gets to saving Court earlier in the movie, she's at least gotten better at it. It took her 3 shots, but at least none of them killed him. So, props.
You know what? I'm sorry. I'll jump in real quick.
Go ahead, please.
I think she was probably having flashbacks to that time because she probably hadn't had to do that, and it really hit, and she really got nervous, and that's probably why it took her, a few tries with that.
Absolutely.
That's the only excuse I got for her with her bad shots on that one.
and absolutely, and that actually leads into my second thing. This means that when Herod asked her at the dinner scene if she'd ever killed somebody, she technically was telling the truth. So perhaps his bullshit detector wasn't as good as we thought, because she just killed her dad.
Granted, it was accidental, but she did kill him, yeah.
Right. So I take back my earlier statement of, I don't think that she's actually killed somebody. That's why she's hesitant with Eugene. That's why she's hesitant with Mad Dog Kelly. She's not a killer like Court and Herod are. Third, and I said I had a few things. I apologize. I meant it.
I'll go for it.
Look at the setup. If you're watching along with us, or at least the next time you see it, Look at the setup of how Gary Sinise is being hung. They are essentially throwing the noose over the crossbar of like a doorway arch, kind of. The post with the post across it that you always see, like the name of the ranch on it. It's one of those. So like a pie symbol made out of wood post, essentially. So the rope is over the crossbar and tied to the side post, to stage left, or however you want to think about it. So instead of having to shoot the noose directly above Lieutenant Dan's head, you clearly see like a couple feet of rope off to the side where it's going to that side post. Aim at that.
Huh, good point. I didn't think about that. That is
worst case scenario, Lieutenant Dan gets winged. It bothers me every time I see it. It's like a saw trap. The answer is right there, but it's not something you're thinking of. So next time you watch the movie, look at the rope that she's shooting at with Lieutenant Dan. She does not have to aim near his head. I think she may have wanted to kill Dad. Maybe he was a diddler. I don't know. Last, I laugh. I laugh every time, every single time I laugh. If the sweeping score wasn't happening right now, you could easily put a boing noise when she shoots him, and it's a damn Naked Gun movie. Or Airplane, whichever Leslie Nielsen one you want to go with. Now, come with me on this. Hear me out. Make Mel Brooks the Gary Sinise character. He's shot, and you see the doctor hiding on the side, and this is back to the real movie, not my Mel Brooks one. The doctor smacks his forehead like he's saying, "Don't." I see George Kennedy doing this in a Naked Gun movie when Leslie Nielsen does something stupid, and I fucking love it.
Yes.
Next time you watch this, watch it as if it was a part of a scary movie. And I don't mean like an actual frightening movie. I mean the series, a Zuckerberg movie, something of that like, where she gets 3 shots. Like, it's okay, baby. I still... And he gets shot in the head, and immediately the crowd just goes, "Oh!" You'll never see it again the same way. I promise.
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious, and don't call me Lieutenant Dan.
Yes.
So, Harry tells the little girl that's close enough and goes whooping away, and he's tearing off the American flag and waving around as he exits. And we close our chapter with the girl starting to sob, and a zoom in from Sinise's dead head to the Marshal badge. Shiz, what? I mean, I threw a lot at you. I'm sorry, man. Give me some thoughts here.
Man, I can't get that Naked Gun scenario out of my head. That's like, that's funny. Yeah, I mean, we now know why she's so just scarred and hell-bent on revenge, but also conflicted too. That was pretty brutal. She shot her own father in the head by accident.
I was saying, not on purpose, right?
I mean, if we and I didn't even think about it, like when you said like the rope. You could have shot it at another spot, not directly above him. I did not even catch that until you said it. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. I think you said it all. I don't have anything much to add.
So you're implying, much like old school, I've crafted the perfect argument. There is no rebuttal.
I got nothing. I agree with everything you said there.
You heard it here first, folks. I have made Shizzy speechless. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I'm not quite sure. We'll see when the episode comes out. But So yeah, we close our chapter.
Just thinking about that. I'm just thinking about Leslie Nielsen, and like you got me thinking about that. That's funny.
Like it's straight out of Robin Hood Men in Tights. Like she shoots him in the head, and then like the doctor smacks his forehead, and then it cuts to a line of the townspeople that are watching. They all smack their foreheads. Like it's right there.
Yeah.
For some reason, Carrie Ellis is in there. I don't know why. Yeah. So we are fast approaching the end of our movie. I think we only have a couple chapters left to go. Shiz, thank you so much for coming back on to get us close to the finish line. Where can people find you, and what should they be on the lookout for?
Well, yeah, this one we're recording it as we record July 5th. Did a couple of parties over the weekend. Played some music there. Don't have anything booked right now, but you can always stay up to date with any of that with by following my band Murder Cabin on Facebook and Murder_Cabin on Instagram. Or follow me on my personal Instagram, Shizzy O'Neil, SHIZZYONEIL on Instagram. It's all one word, all lowercase. So yeah, that's where we post our gigs and stuff.
That's where you do things.
Yes.
And we'll definitely have all those in our show notes as always. Again, highly recommend anytime that you can see Shizzy in any of his number of bands playing, definitely go out. You're going to have a great time. And definitely go out, buy Shizzy a beer at the end, get him chatting up on some stories. Hopefully he keeps all of mine secret, but gladly tell you all the great stories of all of our other friends.
Yes.
Yeah, Shizmo, always a pleasure having you on as we go into our future seasons. Hopefully we'll get there. For those that did not see already, I did do an announcement post on what to expect in coming with Support Your Local Podcast and its sister shows coming up. So if you have not already, check us out on social media. We are Support Your Local Podcast on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. If you want to send us some comments, send us some feedback, let us know what you think of the show. Definitely do that in the comments section, or you can shoot us an email at supp, your local podcast at gmail.com. Please, if you haven't already, subscribe, like, rate, review, do all those lovely free things that do wondrous things for the show, but only take a few seconds of your time. Yeah, Shizmo, again, thanks for being on here, man.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure. I had a good time. Never done a podcast before until you asked me, and here I am on my 5th appearance on yours. So yeah, I might do my own. I haven't really thought about it. I mean, I'm thinking about it.
You did a wonderful segue, sir. I was getting ready to say, if you like what you hear.
I thought that you were going to. That's why I jumped on
it. You beat me to the punch. If you like what you hear, hit up Shizzy on his personal Instagram and all his social medias. Let him know you want more Shizzy. I am trying desperately to get this man to do at least a horror movie podcast. This is the guy that got me balls deep into the movies that I've seen and the movies that I want to do. So if you want to hear more Shizzy, definitely let him know. He appreciates the love in advance. We're definitely going to have him back on our shows, but I am trying desperately to talk Shizzy into branching out and doing his own stuff. So let Shizzy know on Instagram, again, Shizzy O'Neil, that you want more Shizzy, and tell him that Support Your Local Podcast sent you. But until we meet again, folks, as always, I love you. I appreciate your time. But please always remember, support your local podcast.